Zarco Guerrero has a very interesting relationship with Wisconsin. As I mentioned, he came in the 70s and had an exhibit, but he also befriended a good friend, Daniel Swabner, and he's had a couple exhibits at Omega. And he and other artists from the Southwest and Arizona in particular had exhibits, and amazingly, I found out later that it's a generation of artists. His uncle was the personal photographer of Frank Lloyd Wright, and has black and white photographs at Monona Terrace. So if you have a chance to see the photographs of Monona Terrace. So without further ado, and I'm checking my timing here, I want to welcome Zarco Guerrero.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Go and unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning. Piali, kuali tonali, motoka shayakat liaukiski Zarco Guerrero. Newanikan totonea katham javid, la finiquera Arizona aslan tlali. I introduce myself to you in the ancestral language of Nahuatl. I'm not a native speaker of Nahuatl, but I am a lover of the language and a lover of not so much of Hispanic culture, but definitely pre-Hispanic culture. And at this time in my life and in the world in which we live, where we're confused by a lot of terms that are being thrown around and used to describe us, what comes to mind is exactly what we were talking about, those early festivals that brought us together as artists. In those days, we called ourselves Chicano artists, and that was central to the theme of Canto al Pueblo and those festivals back in the late 70s and early 80s. And it was a wonderful time in my life. I also was a very young artist at the time, and a very young man searching for identity, inspiration, and motivation. And it was those things that I found in these conferences and leading up to these conferences. And of course, the result of those conferences in getting to interact, perform with, create with artists from all over the country at that time. And many of these artists have now become iconic in our community as professors, as writers, as poet laureates, as recording artists. So at this point in my life, I'm beginning to realize the true value and importance of collaboration, of coming together. And all of those things changed during that period of COVID, where we were locked away and not able to communicate and interact with each other. But again, it was a wonderful time. I got to look within. I got to tend to things here in my home, in my studio, tend to artwork that I had never finished, and bring a lot of loose ends together. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to take advantage of that and create something very positive. You know, there was a question that was asked, sent to me this morning. What do I feel was my biggest mistake? And that was hard because it's been a good life. It's been a great life to be able to make a living as an artist and to be able to come in contact with such amazing people who have served as a guiding light in my life. But my biggest mistake is never having hiked down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon to visit Supai, that beautiful village, native village, at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. At this point in my life, I don't think will happen. But that's the only thing I regret, my biggest mistake. But here we are, 2021, all of a sudden, it's a new world once again. Here we are coming together in a new format. We're communicating once again, sharing ideas, sharing artwork, and exploring all of these different forces that guide us in our lives, and also the forces that tend to confuse us as individuals, as a people coming together. And I think that's one of the most important things that I try to utilize my art for, is to bring people together and to share the differences between us. We're always looking for these commonalities that bind us. And of course, that's important, but also to acknowledge the differences between us in the way we perceive the world. And there's so many of those misconceptions that are keeping us separated today. And once again, I believe this way back in the day, in the early days of the Chicano movement, that what brought us together was the things that we had in common. And we explored all of those things through the arts, through the culture, through language. And here in Arizona, as you know, the political climate is stormy. And but once again, we're seeing with what the so-called opening up of this COVID period, we're coming together once again, and people are anxious, eager to celebrate, eager to share, eager to get out of their holes that we've crawled into, and to see and to share this magnificent world once again. I have some videos I'd like to share. I'd like for you to visit my studio. This is our little office here. So let's go there.
Hello, Qualitonali, Notoka Ashayaka Yaukiski Zarco Guerrero, Newanikan, Totonea, Atom Javid, La Finiquera, Arizona, Aslan Tlali, Tla, Wakwalzi, Nikan. Tlasokamati. Welcome to the Totecali, the house of the wannabe Toltecs, and that would be me, Zarco Guerrero. Welcome to my studio. Thank you for having me for this wonderful, important event. So happy to be here and to be able to share a little bit about what I do as an artist. I'm an artist. I love all art forms, and one of the things that one of my greatest inspirations in my life, and one of the big motivating factors as I was coming up as a young man during the late 60s, early 70s. At that time was the civil rights movement of Martin Luther King, and also the farm workers movement, the labor movement of Cesar Chavez. Those two movements inspired and ignited a fire in a lot of people like myself in that generation. And the movement that, as it became known later to be the Chicano movement. I was very much involved in that movement at the time, becoming affiliated with Cesar Chavez, with the marches, with the strikes, with the huelgas. And as a young man, I remember meeting with Cesar Chavez, who came to Phoenix, who was, by the way, born and raised in Phoenix and died, in Arizona, and died consequently in the town where he was born, San Luis, Arizona. I remember meeting with Cesar Chavez and asking him, with some of my friends, hey, Cesar, what do we do? What can we do as artists to serve this movement? How can we come involved and utilize our art to create positive social change? Well, Cesar had the answer immediately, and he told us as artists, we need to serve our community. And how do we do that? Well, think of it as wannabe muralists and painters. Cesar Chavez said, go out and paint our neighborhoods. Use the buildings in our communities, in the barrios, as a gallery to promote positive imagery of who we are. Tell our story, tell our history, speak of the struggles that we have and we've had throughout history. Give children a positive perspective on who we are. Create identity with the images that you portray. You also said the same thing for those who were involved in theater. You know, there's so much we can do with theater. It's a powerful art form. Create theater and take it to the streets. As poets, we have a great legacy, an ancient legacy amongst the Toltecs as poets. especially in the language of Nahuatl, the language that I introduced myself to you at the beginning. Now, I'm not a native speaker of Nahuatl, but I became very interested and fascinated with the language during the Chicano movement. And the very term Chicano meant that we were emphasizing our indigenous past, that we were looking beyond the 500 years of colonialization and looking back 10,000 years to the time where corn was invented, was created by the early Mexicanos, the people that we call Toltecs. This advice given to me and other artists like myself by Cesar Chavez, we embrace that and we use that guidance by Cesar, that light, if you will, to shine a light on our community through our art. And at that time we came up with a slogan. It kind of evolved. And the first, it evolved as La Locura Cura. Being crazy, being funny will help us keep us sane, will heal our community. So we immediately incorporated this idea of taking things not so seriously, not taking ourselves so seriously, but being able to laugh at ourselves in order to build a positive image of ourselves. Now, central to this idea is the fact that we want to regain our identity. Everybody needs an identity. And we need identity. Why? Because without an identity, we have no dignity. And that's the very thing that makes us human. Inspired by the Chicano art movement, I began painting murals in the inner cities. I started writing poetry. I got involved with creating theater in our community, and on and on. Until today, we're after 40 years, our organization, Culture Coalition, has been celebrating our diverse, vibrant, and ancient culture in many ways, particularly through theater, performance, and through festivals. And as you'll be able to see in your visit to my studio, now we're getting ready for our annual Dia de los Muertos celebration. We've been celebrating it here in Arizona for over 40 years. And this is the time of year where we get busy, we start organized, the community comes out, and I'm the guy who makes the mask, who makes the costumes, and who is the dramaturg, I guess you could say, in a sense, to help bring all these artists together to create art that brings the community together. So we come together in a circle as one, and we celebrate who we are, and we celebrate our ancient ancestral past and all the wonderful legacy of philosophy, poetry, art that they left us. I became intrigued during the Chicano movement with the mask and the power of the mask to transform the person into someone or something else. And I utilized the mask as a tool, if you will, in order to transform myself into another character and be able to tell their stories from their perspective. So I'm going to introduce to you the first character, who is El Vato Poeta, and he's based on a lot of the movimentistas, especially the poets back in the day, who were taking their art to the community in order to open people's minds and in order to help them see the world in a different way. So while I'm transforming, getting into costume here, take a look around the studio. It's full of the masks that I've created in different materials, in carved wood, in paper clay, in fiberglass, and as giant puppets. So I'll be right back. Hey, ¿qué pasa, raza? It's me, El Vato Poeta, your #1 Chicano homeboy. Híjole, man, it's good to be here today to share a little bit of my poetry. Simon, hey man, I'm a poet. I dictate delectable diatribes and rico suave metaphors to express eloquently the agony and the ecstasy of the Chicano homeboy in his quest to discover Aztlán, our homeland. My poems are songs sung from the heart to all those who love peace, detest hate, and who celebrate la cultura in order to cultivate the mind soul of hardcore, hard luck, hip-hop homeboys and girls who struggle every day to stay out of trouble and who walk home to the rubble of dysfunctional, delinquent, and derelict politicians. Homeboys, to thee I sing. I poetically express the political implications of a pathological power play by self-promoting pompous politicians who pillage and plunder for their own personal prosperity, all the time trying to portray poverty as a self-imposed predicament of the dispossessed. I am the Vato Loco Veterano who has returned to the barrios of Aztlán and the coffee shops across America to share my poetry. Hey man, the Hispanics love it, eh? Chicano chicanery with cappuccino. Bueno, muchas gracias, eh? Ahí nos miramos. And remember, si se puede. Hola, how are you? Ay, qué bueno. Oh, it's so good to be here today. Hey, do you recognize me? No. Everybody knows who I am, but you don't recognize me because I look different. I got my hair done, ¿verdad? See? And I got my little flowers on, and I'm getting ready to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. It's the time of year I really love. Yo soy la comadre. Everybody knows la comadre, and I know everybody and everybody's business. See? You know, I'm talking about, today we're talking about Dia de los Muertos, no? Because it's my favorite holiday. You know why? Because we get to remember our loved ones that have passed away. We get to remember those people, our friends, our family, who are no longer with us. So we're very fortunate to be able to have a culture, an ancient culture, la cultura mexicana, that has given us the gift of culture, the gift, the very thing we need to express our humanity and for us to be humans. And celebrating our ancient past, celebrating lo que nuestros abuelos, our ancestors, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-parents. These were the indigenous people of Mexico and Latin America, and they left us a great legacy. And these are the things we want to celebrate during this season of Dia de los Muertos. Today I'm celebrating my husband, Sid. I loved him so much. He was such a sweet man. He was so good to everybody. He was so generous. He helped everybody out. But he worked so hard and he died. Pobrecito, que Dios lo bendiga, lo quiero mucho. This year, I'm going to make my ofrenda to him. I'm going to make an altar. And on my altar, I'm going to make all of his favorite foods. Because, when we celebrate Dia de los Muertos, the way to entice the spirits, las ánimas, is to cook beautiful, delicious food with all the beautiful smells and fragrance so that they smell all these wonderful things and they remember to come home to their relatives. We also put out beautiful flowers, the marigolds, the cempasúchil. We also make beautiful drinks like atole, mezcal, tequila, pulque. All of those things that I loved and enjoyed when they were here on earth. So I'm going to get busy. I'm going to be making tamales. I'm going to be making pozole. I'm going to be making taquitos,
chile poblanos, whatever, enchilada, menudo. I want to be cooking for days because I know that my cousin Panchito, ay Panchito, como te quiero, como te extraño. And I'm hoping that during the Dia de los Muertos, el amor de mi vida, Panchito, he will come back to visit me. It's such a beautiful thing because nowadays people are celebrating Dia de los Muertos all over the Southwest, all over Mexico, and even different parts of the world. Why? Because it's a beautiful holiday. Because Dia de los Muertos teaches us to look death into the eye and to confront death and to celebrate life and to dance with death. Because if you really think about it, life is nothing more than a dance with death. So vamos a celebrar. ¡Que viva la cultura! ¡Que viva! Que Dios los bendiga, los quiero mucho. Bye!
All right, that last character was La Comadre, and I'm sure a lot of you out there recognize her as your abuela, your grandmother, a tia, or one of your mother's friends, una comadre. And I love doing that character, and that's one of the favorite characters that people enjoy the most when I do my performance. Now, the wonderful things about masks is that not only do I get to hide behind the mask, I get to disappear. Zarco disappears and another character comes to life to share their unique vision of the world. And when I do this performance, what I really feel that I'm trying to accomplish is to celebrate the diversity of our community. And I love being who I am. I love my culture. I love my heritage. But I want to live in a world that's very diverse, where there's a lot of different food, cultures, languages, and challenges that us to learn, to adapt, and to incorporate other aspects of other cultures that are important and that are valuable. So this next character I'm going to do for you is called the Rasta Man. Hey, John, Mom, big brother, one love, all right, yeah. Wow. Hey, you know, last night I had a dream. Not just an ordinary kind of dream. I had a Martin Luther King kind of dream. I had a Cesar Chavez kind of dream. I had a Mahatma Gandhi kind of dream. I had a dream that there was peace spread throughout the land, that all the bitter enemies had come to understand that hatred is an evil thing destined to destroy. The differences between us is something to enjoy. I had a dream that all the guns were buried in the past and that all kids had computers and loved to go to class. I had a dream that drug abuse was something of the past and all those drunk driving fatalities, they came to an end at last. I had a dream of pristine water, plentiful and sweet, a breath of fresh, clean air for everyone to breathe. I had a dream, brothers and sisters, that the world was united. All the borders disappeared, no longer divided. I had a dream that war no longer did exist. And now I only have one dream, and this here is my wish. That everybody would be free from violence and from crime. I hope my dream comes true for your sake and for mine. John, Mom, Pete, brother, one love, all right, yeah. Woo!
Hola, buenos dias, welcome and thank you for having me. I would like to share a little poem to help celebrate the Dia de los Muertos celebration, the Day of the Dead. And it goes like this. We decorate the dead. That's what we do. We decorate the dead because someday we'll be dead too. We decorate the dead the dead both young and old. We decorate the dead because their stories must be told. We decorate the dead, we prepare their favorite feast. We decorate the dead so that the dead may rest in peace. We decorate the dead because life's a deadly dance. We decorate the dead while we still have the chance. We decorate the dead because it's our way of giving. We decorate the dead to prepare those who are living. We decorate the dead for those who are dying. We decorate the dead for those who are left crying. We decorate the dead because the dead live in our hearts. And we decorate the dead so that the dead may live as art. Bueno, muchas gracias por dejarme contar algo de mi poesía. Thank you for letting me share a little bit of poetry. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Y que vivan los muertos.
Thank you very much for letting me share a little bit of my mask experience with you. This is a performance I've been doing now for about 30 years for schools, for universities, for community centers, even for correctional institutions, as a way to celebrate culture, as a way to celebrate the arts, as a way to celebrate diversity, because as I mentioned before, we have a beautiful gift that we have to share with the rest of the world, and that gift is called culture. Culture as an expression of our humanity. And boy, do we need humanity today more than at any other time in our history. So muchas gracias, and as our ancestors would say, Tlazo Kamati. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.